We may pivot for a moment here. We are getting some breaking news. We want to make sure we share this right now. President Zelensky of Ukraine saying this. He's going to be meeting with President Trump in Washington this week. Quote, I will also have the opportunity to come to Washington and hold a meeting with President Trump on Friday. I think we will discuss the sequence of steps that I want to propose. I am grateful to President Trump for our dialogue and support. Also, seeing from the New York Post, they are saying that the White House has invited Zelensky to Washington. The Ukrainian ambassador has confirmed. Obviously, Hal, we saw both Putin and Trump having that high-stakes summit in Alaska. It felt like a big deal at the time, but as the months have gone on, it's felt more and more like, well, what was the point of it? Nothing much had happened since then. Now we're hearing that President Zelensky will, in fact, visit Washington, D.C. this week. Are there parallels to be drawn between the peace deal that Trump has outlined for Gaza, and then now we're seeing Zelensky come to the White House? Trump could play an important role in bringing Ukraine and Russia together and towards some path toward peace. Would you agree?
I think there is, and it's interesting you say that. There was an analysis this morning that I heard talking about, and it is so true. You know, if you look at what they call CRINC, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, you know, this kind of alliance of the four countries that's been taking place and all the nefarious things they do. And you know, Iran is allowing the production of Shahed drones, or has been engaged with this huge production of Shahed drones up in Russia that they use against the Ukrainians, and all the linkages that go back and forth between them. China backing Russia, Russia and China being tight, both of them trying to build this stronger relationship with Iran. And then Iran, of course, being the pivotal piece of what's, well, knocking down Iran, I should say, the pivotal piece of what's allowed this this new dawn in the Middle East, all right? It's fair to say that Eastern Europe and the Middle East are kind of inextricably linked in a lot of geostrategic ways. And so there's a lot of feeling that what has been accomplished in the Middle East actually does reverberate strongly with what could happen or is happening up north in Eastern Europe, particularly with Ukraine and that entire conflict. And so I think this is a very opportune time. It's also a great time for Ukraine and the U.S. to kind of pivot away from all the attention, global attention that's been going to the Middle East, and bring back attention to the war in Ukraine and what needs to be done there. Interestingly, almost completely lost in the news cycle is that President Trump, after kind of sort of hinting that he might agree to this, today it sounds like he is really intent that he's made a decision that he will send Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. Tomahawk missiles in Ukraine adds a huge capability on top of what they have. But one of the most successful things in really changing Russia's position on Ukraine, or shifting their position, has been these Ukrainian deep strikes into Russia, taking out gas refineries and other critical infrastructure. And probably more than the loss of 100,000 or more Russian troops, or the fact that he had almost 1.1 or over 1.1 million Russian troops have been lost in that war, is the fact that these drivers, the oligarchs and others that are in Moscow and St. Petersburg, are basically in lines around the block trying to buy gasoline at exorbitant prices that could be close to $10 a gallon. And as they take out the refineries, they start running out of gas. That's gas that goes to, you know, basically fuel up the armor and everything that's fighting the war in Ukraine. But that's also the gas that keeps the trucks, the trains, and everything else, and cars moving throughout Russia. And the Tomahawk missiles, I'm not saying they're completely unstoppable, but they would add a phenomenal capability to that deep strike capacity of Ukraine to take out what Russia has, and that hits Putin politically in ways that the losses on the battlefield just don't seem to reverberate.
Al Kemper is a retired Marine intelligence officer, national security analyst, and the host of the Strat podcast. We do need to step away for a commercial break. Our coverage continuing in a moment.